I can't remember, but I had some to finish.
Oh, okay. All right. So you finished.
I finished.
Now you're a trained finance clerk typist, right?
So then because I got an MOS of a 405.
Right.
And I was always in demand. I might as well explain that.
Yeah.
So one of the things
I'm not surprised.
they wanted me to do was to stay and be a teacher.
Oh, they wanted you to teach at
They wanted me
Lowry.
to teach at Larryfield.
Okay.
And how I didn't want to do that, I wanted to go overseas. So rather than tell them that, I said I just didn't think I had the ability to be a teacher.
Okay.
So they said, okay. So next thing was, then where did I want to go? Well, I wanted to go, I had a choice of, I guess, some places. And all I wanted to go was in the Pacific.
Okay.
I just wanted to go in the Pacific. So okay.
Well, Hawaii's in the Pacific.
I didn't do it that way. I just said I want to be in the Pacific.
Yeah, okay.
So let's see. So then I guess we got on a troop ship, a troop train, I guess, and then we went from Denver, we went to, I think it was a base in California.
Right.
And we got on a troop ship.
Yep.
And the troop ship was, I remember, it was 13 days. And we went from the port in California, we went to Guam.
Okay.
And we got off at Guam, and we were maybe 2 or 3 weeks at Guam, and we were in what they call Repo Depot. We did all the dirty work.
You were a replacement.
Yeah, we did everything that the man could do. We dumped trash, we cleaned floors, whatever. We were Repo Depot, we called it.
They made up work for you to do.
Oh, they had plenty of jump to do.
Yeah, right.
And they also wanted, because they wanted people with my AFSC, and they wanted me to stay in Guam. And I said, no, I didn't want to go to Guam.
Right.
So one night, they got me at a very late night, 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock, and said, we're going. So all you had was a ditty bag, and you loaded your bag, and you got in a plane. We got in a plane.
Oh, they flew you finally.
And there were
You're in the Air Force finally.
Several of us that went from Guam. They flew us into the Manila. And
to the Philippines.
In the Philippines. And we landed at Nicholas Field, which was in Manila.
Okay.
And they took, at the middle of the night, they took me I was assigned to a basic finance squadron.
Oh, really?
And I got in, they put me in a barracks, in a bunk, and I went to sleep.
Yeah.
When I woke up in the middle of the next morning, I was a new guy in a new barracks. Nobody knew me, and I didn't know anybody.
And I bet you it wasn't cold, though, was it?
Oh, it wasn't cold. So then I was assigned to base finance.
Oh, okay.
Okay. So it turns out that, I forget the whole story, but that I got assigned to an audit crew. There was another guy and me, and a civilian was in charge, and I had to learn how to drive the Jeep, so I learned how to drive a Jeep. And we went to the various units and bases and everything in that area. Us two and the boss, and we did audits on mainly property audits to verify that the property and everything was okay. And I learned how to drive, and I kept asking the boss man, wasn't there some other way I could earn some extra money?
Sure.
And he was a buddy of the Sergeant Koshide, who was the manager of the Club 13, which was a enlistment's club.
Right.
And he said that what you need is a bookkeeper, and I got just a man, and he introduced me to him.
Oh, cool.
So I became his bookkeeper.
At this club?
Part-time, to start out with.
Right.
So the first day he asked me about, I remember the general ledger, and I says, what's that? Because I didn't know a thing.
I got it. They didn't teach you that at Lowry.
No. So then the guy that got me in there says, don't worry, Sergeant, I will train him. So they trained me, and I became the bookkeeper of Club 13.
Okay.
And I had to develop my own set of books, and it's that.
And they paid you.
I go, oh yes, I got extra pay for that because I work part-time at night.
Right.
And by the way, if I could, I had a great set of books because I had to develop something, and I was honest. See, there was a lot of hanky-pank going on, but not I. So I had a very good set of books.
Which meant you could survive any audit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I even audited other bases, other facilities, and I came up with, this isn't right, that isn't right. I was good. Also, because I best I can tell you, I'm a good guy. I mean, I work at it. So they said, would I drive the officer's wife here and this, that. So a lot of my time I was driving people and doing favors for this one and that one.
Sure.
And since we had a vehicle assigned to us.
Yeah.
And I thought that was fine. Well, they liked that. And I always talked to them. Oh, and in the club, besides being a bookkeeper, I got ambitious and I said I'm going to do more things. So I was a bartender, I was a bookkeeper, I was a bouncer, I was a cashier, I was a door checker.
Lord.
I did all the jobs. See?
Yeah.
And I used to tell everybody that I drove, that I loved it, I liked the work. And then one day they thought, just what we need. Well, the sergeant of the club, the first sergeant of the club was going to be first sergeant of squadron, and I got nominated to run the club. So I became an NCOIC.
Wow.
Oh yeah, and I loved it.
Wow.
I did that for whatever the rest of my time was.
So what was your rank?
I was a buck sergeant.
Okay.
And I loved it, and they wanted me to stay, and because they made it a master sergeant slot.
Yep.
Well, about this time, the Air Force and the Army were split, and we all elected to stay with the Air Force. So if we went with the Air Force, then we had to leave this area and go to Clark Field. So I spent my next year in Clark Field, and that's all I did was run a club.
Right.
And not only that, we had our own truck assigned, and I had a wonderful lady who was my bookkeeper.
Yeah.
Carmen Paulson was her name. Wonderful. And she did my bookkeeping part-time. She was sent over for the squadron, and she did work at night, and I always drove her at night and picked her up all the time. We're buddies. Really,
that's great.
Very friendly.
She must have been a native Filipino.
Yeah, she was Filipino.
Okay, go ahead.
But anyway, and I would drive her home in the nights and weekends, and she kept the books.
Great.
And I did the rest of the stuff. And I learned how to drive a 6x, I drove a weapons carrier, a PC, I drove them all. At one time, I even drove a school bus a couple times. And
he did a little bit of everything.
And I liked to drive anything, and I just jumped in whenever they...
Really?
Like how I got into 6x, whenever the typhoons hit us, we all stopped everything, and everybody stopped what they did, and we put sandbags on the roofs.
Right.
Sandbags all the roofs. Well, and one day we're all lined, when this thing started, we're all lined up, and they say, well, who can drive a 6x? And I thought to myself, man, it's sandbags or driving a 6x. So my hand went up. And
that was an easy answer.
I got on a 6x, and I drove a 6x.
Wait, stop. What, John? What's a 6x?
Well, it's a big truck.
It's a truck.
It's a truck. They call it a 6x because I think they have 6 wheels.
6 wheels. Okay.
It's a big truck with a gear shift and all.
Sounds like a deuce and a half in the Army to me. That is.
Okay, I don't know. And not only that, but our truck that was assigned to us at Club 13 was assigned to us.
Okay.
But on and off, it had problems. So if we turned the truck into the motor pool to get it fixed, we had no truck.
Right.
So one of the things, and I don't know what it was, but had to do something with the gear shift. So in the middle of the night, or whenever that thing broke, or I had to learn to crawl under the thing and jury rig the thing to make it work. Because if you gave it to motor pool, they wouldn't give you another.
You may never
vehicle.
get it back either.
You might never get it back.
Yeah, right.
Or when they fix it, you would get it back. But I drove it all over. And my last...
So you fixed it?
On and off, yeah.
Amazing. All right. Sounds like you were the man of all trades.
Just about. Yeah, you're right. Absolutely.
That's great. Good for you.
And not only that, I developed, as far as this club goes, I developed a how to do it routine. Like, you'd have one guy and he'd get drunk and he'd throw a glass across the wall, and I'd go up to him and rather than bounce him, I go, hey, I says, I like you. And I think, I'd like you just to leave.